I'm filming with my iPhone today instead of my webcam, so that's something. Hi guys, I'm Shalott. Welcome back to my channel. What you have here is another perfume video. Now, I know I just finished up that huge long series of my perfume collection, but this video was actually requested before that video and I just never got around to doing it. So this is all samples of different men's fragrances, but not all of these men's fragrances are going to be in today's video. What I am doing today is a favorite men's fragrances. I have 3 that were chosen for men by men and 3 that were chosen for men by women. And so I think you might find that this video is not only useful, but may also ease some fears, especially you ladies who may have fears when trying to pick out a new fragrance for your boyfriend, your husband, even a father, brother, anything like that. So I'm gonna get started and I'm going to go through my magic jar of fragrances and I'm gonna pick out, first of all, the ones that didn't make the cut. And some of these are very surprising that they didn't make the cut. And some of them are less surprising because they either haven't been around that long or they're simply a little bit more difficult to wear. For example, YSL Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme is one that didn't make the cut, but this has a very soft top note with a lot of lavender, and it does make it a little bit more difficult for men to wear, simply because it's a little bit more on the feminine side of fragrances, and some men prefer that more feminine fragrance type. And some women prefer that more masculine fragrance type. So it really just comes down to personal preference. And what I'm going to show you today were pretty much unanimously voted on across the women and men that I spoke with. I asked men that I knew in person. I asked women that I knew in person. I asked men online and I asked women online. So there's a large spectrum of people, countries, tastes represented here, and almost unanimously I got the same responses from men for what they liked and from women for what they liked on men, which I thought was really interesting. So I'm just gonna draw out one. Now that I have my 6, 3 from men and 3 from women, we'll draw one out and talk about it. The first one that I'm pulling out is Hugo Boss. Now, these of course are dabbers. So what I'm going to do is just take a piece of tissue and dab the scent onto the tissue because I cannot put it all on my hands. That's just gonna never work. So I looked up for you guys. I wrote down all of the fragrance notes for these scents, and then I'll tell you who picked this particular fragrance. When I'm smelling this on paper, on the tissue, this is a very masculine scent. It's a very masculine scent. There's definitely not a lot of overtone of more gourmand or even more citrusy notes. And I think that makes a lot of sense because Hugo Boss has been around for quite some time, the brand, not necessarily this particular form of fragrance. I'm not sure. I believe this is from the late 90s, but it is something that has been around for some time. So Hugo Boss, our top notes are apple and citrus, which I'm not really getting that at all, but when you put it on the paper or on the tissue as opposed to on the skin, I did get a little bit on my hands. I do get the citrus on the skin a little bit more. The mid notes are Pelargonium, which after further research for you is a breed of geranium. So it is a floral note. We also have cinnamon and clove. So a lot of spice, a lot of heavier notes. And that's very common to see in men's cologne predating a certain point, a certain revolution in men's cologne where things became much more sporty, much more aquatic. If you remember like Paco Rabanne back in the day, I'm not talking about like the 1 million or the Invictus now, but I'm talking about back in the day. It was a very heavy scent. So this is not surprising to see this type of scent that being popular, especially among men of a certain age. And yes, Boss by Hugo Boss was one of the scents that was almost universally recommended to me by men. Most of these were men over the age of, I want to say, not to like call anyone out, so I'm gonna say like 35 to 40, over that age. So on our base notes, we have cedar and patchouli, which are very, 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 very popular in men's perfumery in the creation of men's fragrance. You will see that happening over and over again. So our first scent that was chosen by men for men is Boss, Hugo Boss. And if you have a man that you're confident, or he's confident and he exudes that very confident, powerful aura, this is probably a scent that he will like. So our next scent I'm going to pull out because I know that it's one of the one that was chosen by women. And what we have here is, in fact, Giorgio Armani Acqua di Gio. Now, I took a long time to get onto the Acqua di Gio train. I'm not gonna lie. But when I did get on the train, I got on that train and I rode it all the way to its final station, and then I made the loop and we're going again. This is a scent that is very much of a, I want to say that it's much more of a modern type of men's perfumery type scent, where it's really grasping onto the image that's portrayed by scents like Acqua di Gio, or some of our other one of our other fragrances of the beauty of life, the joie de vivre, and being a man in that presence. So the scents from Acqua di Gio, our top notes are jasmine, rosemary, and Hesperidic notes, which, first of all, Hesperidic notes, Giorgio Armani, you need to settle your shit down, because I had to look all over the web and I finally found on a German website that Hesperidic basically means citrus accords. So it's just like citrus accord type notes. So we've got that very fresh, fragrant top that settles down to a mid note of persimmon and marine accords. So you've got that very aquatic heart, and then at the base you have cedar again, patchouli again, musk, another popular in all fragrance, all perfumery, because it's a very good fixative. But then you also have a heart or a base of rose, which leaves kind of that lasting impression of sensuality. And so, of course, Acqua di Gio was chosen almost unanimously by women that I spoke to. This isn't a formal poll, so don't go looking for these results on the internet. These are the people that I spoke to. But Acqua di Gio was chosen almost unanimously by these women as their favorite fragrance for a man to wear. And, I mean, I really think it's easy to see why. I like it too. It took me a little bit longer to get on the train because it's a little bit more citrusy than I prefer normally, but with those cedar and patchouli base notes, it really grounds it so that it does make it very masculine and very, very appealing to women. Okay, so let's go on. And I have actually, you know what? It's another women's choice, This is Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. Now, you may be thinking, how similar is light blue to Acqua di Gio? And actually, surprisingly, not as similar as you would expect. I'm going to, again, it's on the tissue here. Before I start talking about it, I'm just going to read you the notes so you can see where the differences lay. The top notes are mandarin, grapefruit, bergamot, and juniper. So right away, Acqua di Gio opened with a much more floral, fresh base, whereas light blue Homme is opening with a much more citrusy, sporty top. I think I said base before, but these are top notes. Our mid notes on light blue, rosemary, pepper, and rosewood. So again, there's not that same aquatic accord, that truly like sinuous like movement that you get from the idea of the ocean and being in the sun and sand and waves. And then our heart or base notes are musk, incense, and oak moss. So Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Pour Homme is much more of a traditional chypre type of scent. Light blue is much more masculine, not necessarily masculine in a manly way, but with those notes that you think of in men's cologne. It's not the same at all to Acqua di Gio. And I prefer Acqua di Gio over light blue, which when normally it would be the other way around based on what my personal tastes in men's cologne are. So it's really interesting to see how the idea of the composition, or how the composition of the fragrance itself, can really affect the way that you perceive it. So I'm going to go back now. I'm going to do the other men's, and then the last fragrance chosen by women, because I had so many women who chose Acqua di Gio and Light Blue Pour Homme. I actually chose the last man's fragrance myself, so that's why I'm gonna leave it for last. So the next scent that I had an overwhelming number of men tell me that they preferred for themselves was Gucci Guilty Pour Homme. And this doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. Even my son wears Gucci Guilty black. And so to be told over and over and over and over by men that they like Gucci Guilty Pour Homme is in fact not surprising, but interesting. Ooh. Oh my. So Gucci Guilty Pour Homme, I think that there is really an interesting amount of idealism that's happening with this fragrance, that are men really thinking that this smells better than similar scents, because it's truly it's not very unique, not in the realm of men's perfumery or men's cologne. You have a top note of lavender and lemon, you have mid notes of orange blossom, and you have base note of cedar and patchouli. It's really just a very standard fragrance. And I can show you, we have YSL L'Homme Sport, we have Givenchy Gentleman Only, I have Atelier Cologne Cedrat Blas. These are all fragrances that are in the same sort of category. Prada Luna Rossa Sport, that all contain the same sort of collective of fragrance notes. So what makes Gucci Guilty Pour Homme stand out? I don't know. To be honest, I really don't know. I wouldn't choose this fragrance for any man. It's just average. What I think, what I believe, I think that there is a sense, not sense. There's a sense of brand recognition that's involved, that when someone asks you or when someone sees it on your counter, they see Gucci, they see the interlocking G symbols. And unlike even the Hugo Boss, which makes an impact, the Gucci Guilty Pour Homme, it's very bland. It doesn't make an impact. It's very much something that I think that the statement of the brand and brand recognition is what is selling this product, to be honest, to be 100% honest with you. Now, as a man, you may disagree. As a woman, you may disagree. And of course, that's totally fine. This 100% comes down to individual tastes. And this scent, again, of course, I'm only smelling it on a tissue. So this scent may smell amazing on a man. Okay, right? So again, don't shoot the messenger. This is just an opinion. I cannot say for sure whether Gucci Guilty Pour Homme smells amazing on men or on certain men. So that may in fact be the case. But what I can tell you is that Gucci is a hot commodity right now. So there is that. And that's what I'm wondering is happening here. The final scent that men chose for men is actually one that I do not have. I don't have a sample of this. And if I had realized that I didn't have a sample of this before I filmed this video, I would have gone to Sephora or Nordstrom or somewhere and gotten a sample, because this is a fragrance that is very easily available. This isn't something that you really have to work hard to find. It's going to be anywhere you go. And this is Chanel Allure Homme. So what we have is a fragrance that came out right around the same time as Mugler was creating Amen. There was a lot of demand in the industry for new inventive type of fragrances. And so Chanel Allure Homme came to fill that niche, to fill that void in the market. I do think that most people who wear this scent are actually wearing Chanel Allure Homme Sport, because it's a bit more masculine than the original. However, I was told Adore, so that's what I'm giving you. This is chosen by men for men. And I think it's very interesting. Let me read you the notes of this fragrance that I have looked up. Our top notes are mandarin, lemon, peach, and bergamot. So we're opening with that freshness again, but you have something sweet there, that juicy sweetness of the peach and the mandarin orange. Your mid notes, freesia, geranium, rose, lavender. These are all floral notes that are not noticeably feminine. Freesia, I would say, is probably, even though rose is in there too, freesia, I would say, is probably the only note that you would most often see in women's perfumery. And then our base notes, we have tonka, benzoin, sandalwood, and vanilla. So this is a scent that has really taken the composition of a gourmand and created something different, which Chanel has always been very good at doing. I do wish that I had a sample of this. I would love to smell it. I don't know if I've ever actually smelled the original Allure Homme. Again, like I said, I think a lot of people who wear this fragrance or who think of this fragrance do think of the sport version, which is more traditionally masculine. But there's a lot of interesting notes here that make it a very bold choice. And definitely one that I think that would be extremely impactful on the right person. Like, you would never have someone saying like, oh, you smell so generic, which is this, the Gucci Guilty. That's generic. The Allure, that's impactful. And I think that's really great. So, which takes me to my final choice for men by women, aka myself, because I had so many women who chose Acqua di Gio in light blue that I really needed a third fragrance. And I've already talked a lot about some of my other favorites, plus they're not that easy to get. So the fragrance that I chose for the third fragrance is by Bvlgari, who, in my opinion, is very underappreciated as a fragrance house. Conventionally, their fragrances tend to push boundaries. However, there's not a lot of quality in some of them, which is really unfortunate because there's a lot of good things to be said about a lot of their fragrances. And Bvlgari, this is Bvlgari Man in Black. Not Bvlgari Man Black, Bvlgari Man in Black. And this is one of the fragrances that I think has a lot of underestimated or underappreciated qualities for a men's fragrance. This is like a sexy man. This, to me, more so than Gucci, more so than any of these others, maybe not Acqua di Gio, but more so than, and then I can't say about Allure, but Man in Black, this is, oh my gosh, this is a sexy, sexy man. Let me read you the notes, and then maybe we'll see why. So our top notes for Bvlgari Man in Black are rum, cardamom, and cinnamon. So right away, you're opening with that very warm, spicy top note, which it hits you. And that's what hits you and makes you just like drool, right? Our mid notes, though, are tuberose, iris, and leather. Very interesting, very unique composition at the mid. Tuberose and iris are both very feminine floral notes, but leather is extremely warm and really holds those notes so that when you get to that midpoint, they're not just floating away. This is a scent that truly takes a while to develop in composition, that truly takes a while to release itself on the skin, and it is a Bvlgari fragrance, which means that it has a very close, its sillage is very close, it holds close, but unlike some other scents, the longevity is much greater than with other Bvlgari fragrances. Our base notes, benzoin, tonka, guaiac wood, which is a very sweet, woody scent, and black amber, sticky, sweet, resinous. Very, 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 very much so in the same family, the same fragrance family as Chanel Allure, which is interesting because I would also say that Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue is also very, very much in the same fragrance family as Gucci Guilty pour Homme. So the only two true outsiders that we have in this mix are Hugo Boss and Acqua di Gio. And the interesting thing about that is the creation Hugo Boss throws back to the old school type of men's cologne, men's perfumery, whereas Acqua di Gio is like the beginning of the new school of men's cologne and men's perfumery. So what does this tell us about men's fragrances? First of all, men, just like everyone else, are easily impressed by how our packaging and how our bottle looks. We see this with Gucci Guilty. So if you aren't sure, just pick the one that's gonna look the best on the counter. But it's also clear that for men and for women, there's types, very distinct types of scent that appeals to them. So if you want to buy a gift for a man and you want to buy him a cologne gift, look at the scents that he owns already. Look up the notes. Look up similar scents with those notes. Websites like Fragrantica, basenotes.com, they all have the option of finding other scents with those same notes. Look those up and try those scents first. Chances are good you will find something that he loves. If you don't know what he wears, pick what you love. Because, ladies, I promise you this, if you think your man smells sexy, he is going to feel sexy. And I don't want to suggest anything, but Bvlgari Man in black is very sexy. The bottle is not that bad either. I hope this video was informative but also entertaining. If you have any questions again about any of the fragrances that are shown, or if you're interested in any of these men's fragrances that got rejected for no good reason, I love some of these scents, please let me know. Please let me know in the comments below. The fragrances listed will all be in the information box, everything that I've mentioned, as well as websites, and possibly, if I can, find places to purchase. I'll try to link those. Mostly they should be available on places like Sephora, Ulta, Macy's, Nordstrom's, any of those. There's really no going wrong here, is what I'm really trying to say. If you are buying for a man over a certain age, I'm gonna say father age, a father figure or older, go with Hugo. Go with the Hugo Boss. If you're buying for a younger man, you go with the Gucci Guilty. If your man has ever expressed any type of interest in gourmand type scents, go with the Allure. Go with the Allure Sport if you're a little bit unsure. Or if you want to satisfy yourself, I highly suggest Acqua di Gio or the Bvlgari Man in black, unless he is, again, in the older, more mature male range, in which case Dolce & Gabbana light blue might be just the ticket. All right? I hope you've enjoyed. You can also find more information about these products and where to purchase anything on my website. I will link that down below as well. And until the next video, I hope you had a wonderful day. If you have anything you want to see, please let me know. Leave it in the comments. Thumbs up, subscribe. Let me know that you're enjoying this content, and so I can keep on producing these perfume videos for you. I have a review coming next and something that you may not want to hear, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So keep a lookout for that, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.